Let's discuss this. Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, who is also a doctor, joins us. Senator, it's nice to have you here. So here's good, and thank you for waiting. We know you waited a while as we were getting through that breaking news on the hurricane coverage, so we appreciate your time and you being here. The CBO, which you know is a nonpartisan organization that marks up these bills and tells us what it's going to cost and how many folks will or won't have insurance they estimate as a result. Here's what they're saying. We will not be able to provide point estimates for the effect on the deficit, health insurance coverage, or premiums for at least several weeks. Now, you guys have till the 30th of September to do this with a simple majority. Is it appropriate to vote on something like this? It would completely overhaul the U.S. healthcare system without knowing how many people might lose their insurance as a result?
Well, they have already said whenever you eliminate the mandate that says people have to buy a government-approved program, that many people will choose not to buy Obamacare insurance because they don't think it's a good deal for them. So they said millions and millions of people will no longer have that insurance. But that's what people are doing as the free choice they have as Americans.
But that's not it,
Senator, you know, Senator, because you're intricately involved in writing these bills, that most of the people who would not have insurance as a result of the legislation that's been discussed has nothing to do with the mandate. It has everything to do with Medicaid and Medicaid expansion. That's the score that could be the most variable here. And again, you're prepared to have a vote on a bill without a CBO score telling the American people how many people might lose their insurance.
Well, they have said the last time that up to 15 million will lose, and a lot of it has to do with the mandate, the individual mandate, the employer mandate. What we will have, and CBO has said we will have that, is the number of whether this does work with the reconciliation laws of this country. We're not going to move forward until we are consistent with the law, and we'll have that number next week. But what we're trying to do is lower the costs of care for the American people. We know, and certainly in my home state of Wyoming, there's down to one person selling insurance, and over 40% of the counties are in that. This is no longer a marketplace.
So
it's a monopoly, and prices have gone way up. We're trying to get them down for people.
Senator, we understand that, but you also know there's a bipartisan effort underway right now between a Republican and a Democratic senator to fix these issues with the insurance market for the Affordable Care Act. Let's just take one state. That's the state of Ohio, where the Republican governor, John Kasich, says this is a bad idea. Why? Because over 700,000 people there are benefiting, he says, from Medicaid expansion in his state. A third of them, he says, are mentally ill or drug addicted. A quarter of them are chronically ill. This would take away the Medicaid expansion for them, and it is unknown how much money the states would get and if it would provide funding for those people.
Well, Governor Kasich has embraced the Obama health care law that so many of people around the country have rejected. Right now, 40% of all of the money under Obamacare goes to just 4 states, California, New York, Massachusetts, and Maryland. But that's just 20% of the population. So states across the country will actually get more money to deal with things the way that works best for that state. I know Governor Kasich's opposition. We have many governors who are embracing and supporting what we're trying to do because they would have more authority. When I was in the state legislature in Wyoming, we always felt if we could get the money without having all the mandates in Washington that drove up the costs, we could help many more people take care of many more medical problems for the same number of dollars. That's what we're trying to do, get the authority out of Washington with its one-size-fits-all, get it back to the states where people can make those decisions for themselves.
Pre-existing conditions. As part of Graham Cassidy, you say that people with pre-existing conditions will have to be covered, and I know your wife's a breast cancer survivor, so this is very important to you. But there's no guarantee that states won't allow insurance companies to raise the rates on people with pre-existing conditions, maybe even make it unaffordable. Does that concern you?
It does concern me, and it concerns me that all across the country, rates are going up right now under the current law.
But they go up exactly the same. But you know, Senator, you know that they go up. The community rating guarantees that people with pre-existing conditions, their rates stay in line with other people's rates. If you unhitch that, then people with pre-existing conditions, their rates could go up much, much higher than other folks.
You know, when they unhitched it in Maine and had this high-risk pool that was paid for, which is what we're proposing for other states, They were able to keep the rates down for people with pre-existing conditions.
Everyone in Maine, Senator. That's because they taxed everyone in Maine. They taxed everyone in Maine to pay for that. Are you comfortable with doing that to the American people then to pay for it?
Well, all of the tax money right now coming in for the Obama health care law, when you look at what we have proposed, we have kept the taxes on the high income earners in this. We have not eliminated those taxes. So that money is there available to do this sort of thing for people with pre-existing condition. It worked in Maine. You're right. People were taxed for it. We keep those taxes in this proposal. And what we saw in Maine is it worked. It can work across the country if it's allowed to do so, but you need the freedom and flexibility and choice at the local level, I believe, rather than this one-size-fits-all, which we know prices are going up across the country again under the current law, again, to unaffordable levels. If people aren't getting a government subsidy, it is unaffordable. And even for people with the subsidies, their deductibles and copays are so high, it's hard for them to get the care that they need.
Understood. One thing we will not know by the time you vote on this is if the Graham Cassidy will increase premiums on people with health care, because the CBO won't have scored that part of it yet. But Senator Barrasso, thank you so much for your time. And again, we really do appreciate you waiting through the breaking news on the hurricanes.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Poppy.